I think we've got it. Hi, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the Virtue Center. We're partnering this month in the month of May with the YMCA here in Norman, Oklahoma. And I welcome you. My name is Lee, and I'm just going to be a yogi with you over the next couple Wednesdays, just offering a space of reflection and hopefully some healing and just some time of introspection together. As we get settled into this next hour, kind of just moving and grooving with each other, I would just like to let you know that you're welcome to get a mat. I have a water here. Water's always welcome. And we try to just create a little space for ourselves where we just kind of shut things off, kind of get the noise out of the way. I had to turn off my dryer. So whatever we need to do to kind of make our space just a good space for ourselves. I traditionally do yoga without my shoes and socks on. That's so that if we get onto our feet a little bit, we don't slip. So yeah, if you need to make any adjustments, if you need to get your mat or just get to a surface that has a little bit of grip on it so that we can start our practice together. Just coming together in this moment, find yourself a comfortable seated posture. You do not know how to do yoga. You don't ever have had to have an experience doing yoga before. Our first session together today, we'll just kind of take our time, go slow. And the theme of today is going to be my intuition. So your intuition, recognizing, hearing, listening, noticing. So we find ourselves in a comfortable seated something here on the floor. And feel free to just put your hands or your arms wherever is comfortable for you. So whatever that is. We kind of just maybe rock back and forth and we find just our balance. We just kind of notice the front side. We rock back a little bit and we notice the back side. And all we're doing here is noticing ourselves in space and time. So these are my hips back here. Ooh, this is my hips when I come forward and then I come back to the center. If you are seated with feet bent, knees bent, or legs bent, let's lean back and let's switch our legs so that the other one is on top or in front somehow. And as we come back to the center, maybe we notice the difference between the one side and now this new side. Our bodies will start talking back to us real quickly and say things like, this side is a little easier or less easy than the other side. And as we hear that, we recognize that. That becomes our intuition work. So as we sit here, I invite you to just take your hands, maybe stack them gently, putting them in your lap in front of you. Easy on the shoulders and the neck, nothing straining here. And if it is available to you, and if it feels comfortable for you, I invite you to close your eyes. As we close our eyes, things start to come inward. I invite you to notice the sounds of the place that you are in, and noticing maybe just the thoughts that are coming into your mind at this time. They're just there. They'll always come, they'll always go. And we have the ability, because we choose, to notice them. Our yoga practice with our eyes closed also incorporates the use of our breath. We begin with a nice slow inhale in through our nose, filling up our chest with some air. And we exhale long and slow out of our mouths, making a sighing sound. I invite you to do another one if you can. Inhaling slowly through the nose, nice and gentle, filling your chest up with air. Exhaling. Noticing that breath. with our eyes still closed. Perhaps we lean a tiny bit with our spine to the right side. And then we use our tummy, just gently pulling ourselves back to the center. And then we lean a tiny bit to the left side, exploring to the left. And then we come back to the center. One more time, leaning as far as we would like, not using our hands, over to the right side. Coming to the center. When you're ready, over towards the left, leaning in, feeling that stretch along the spine. And coming back to your center. Very good. You're invited to open your eyes right now. And let's start to open a little bit of our chest and upper body area. So again, if you're just joining us, I welcome you. We have our password today. Our password is hope. So for those of you who are joining us, the word of the day is hope. Okay. So to open up the chest, I'm going to turn to the side so you can kind of see what I'm doing, but you can stay right where you are. Taking my arms around back behind me, placing them to the mat. Then I kind of just press tummy forward, chest comes forward, and we're going to start that intentional cycle of breathing again. Eyes can remain open, eyes may close, to your choice. We try to draw a big breath in, and we just feel how that feels with this chest opener, heart opener, opening up real wide. Exhaling when you're ready, feeling the collapse perhaps of the lung, the rib cage, and maybe even the belly. Continuing with this cycle of breath, sometimes even intuition will ask us to lean the head back because our body says, oh, too much to hold this head up right now. So as we continue our breathing here, we're just noticing the in and the out and how the breath changes as we change our body, our head, our shoulders. Remaining here for one more cycle of breath, in through the nose and out through your mouth, sighing it away. If our head is back, we gently just pull this head forward and we just walk our arms back to our sides here. I'm going to face you, planting this right hand to the mat, extending the left. We're going to start getting into the side body. We spread those fingers real wide. We're doing that in order to encourage the blood flow into these hands that type and text and talk all day. So drawing this left arm all the way up to the sky, using that big breath that you've been practicing in through the nose, trying to extend real high. And then with our exhale, we bend this elbow underneath us a little bit, leaning in towards that right side, just extending through the arm, taking that vision maybe up a little bit towards the sky. And we're holding ourselves here with our belly, not only just with this arm that's below. So a little bit more of a dynamic stretch here. We're creating a tiny rotation with our head and our neck. We're leaning towards the side. And we're also trying to create length up through the hip, through the shoulder, through the arm, out the hand. We're sending that work from our backside up through our side body, up and out of this hand over to the top. We can even explore rotation of head and neck here, kind of understanding that maybe when I do a stretch like this, something else starts talking back to me in my body, and we respond. We're encouraging a dialogue of choice with ourselves. So I choose to move my head here because it feels safer for me. Because my side will start to fatigue, I'm going to choose to inhale this arm straight back up to the sky, full body stretch up to the top. Exhaling, releasing the hand all the way down the mat. Bending our arms, the fingertips just touching the ground on either side of you, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. We pull in our bellies slightly and we start to notice the belly button area. If I invited us to start breathing intentionally in through the nose and out through the mouth, what other parts of our body start to kind of stress out. This is our noticing. So we notice, okay, if I'm being asked to make my belly strong, my shoulders kind of start to crunch up a little bit. So I tell my shoulders that they can relax and that my belly can take this work to hold this torso up. Sometimes, as I continue to breathe in a posture like this, I might notice that my breathing changes because I'm concentrating and I'm forgetting to breathe. So I'll continue in our weeks together to remind you of this. When we focus, when we stress, sometimes we hold our breath. So just encouraging that cycle of breath. How about one more if you feel inclined? Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling out of the mouth. And now we go to the other side, planting this left hand down to the mat, sitting up nice and straight, extending this right arm this time, spreading those fingers wide so we can feel the extension. Arm goes out, and I start to inhale this nice long arm all the way up to the sky. Full breath in. Exhaling, leaning into left side. There we go. So I've got this energy that's coming up out of my hips, through this rib cage area, through the shoulder, through the arm, and stretching out here. If you find yourself kind of slumping down into the posture, gently we just pull the elbow up towards sky, opening up the rotation. Feel free to lean as much as you would like into this arm underneath, exploring here. Finding your breath. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling out of the mouth. And then we begin to notice, what's going on with this neck? Do I need to create a choice? Do I need to come out? Always a choice. What is healthiest for you? What is best for you at this time? And again, we evaluate where we are. I say we should come out of this because I'm ready to come out of this. So I'm going to inhale this arm straight up to the sky, full breath in, fingers spread wide. And exhaling, releasing this arm down to the mat. Gently leaning back, switching our legs once more. Giving ourselves a seated spinal rotation. It's kind of fun. We can place our hands on our knees and we're just easy here on the shoulders. Then let's go clockwise. So maybe clockwise together, we're going to start to create a circle. As we do this, we're actually invited to use our tummy. I've done this before, and I didn't use my belly, and I ended up kind of giving myself a little strain in my lower back. So through our practice over the next couple of weeks, we're going to always turn our attention, directing it back towards that belly, realizing how much we forget to use this tummy sometimes. So as you're going in a circle, we begin to notice what's happening with these hips. As we tip from side to side, perhaps one lifts and one lowers. We try to stay pretty grounded here in the center rather than kind of rocking in a big thing through the middle, because that means I'm not using my belly as much. So I'm working through some injuries, and maybe some of you all are too. And what I'm noticing as I continue to go through this cycle is that there are places in this kind of circular rotation where my tummy kind of gives up. Mine is occurring in the back side of the cycle here, and my lower back wants to hold the torso because it's worried that my stomach isn't strong enough. And that's fine. That's okay. It's just noticing and creating a new awareness and understanding of where you are in your movement. Pausing wherever you are. Let's go the opposite way, noticing the stomach muscles. As we're coming around, there are so many things that are going on. One of the things is that our obliques, which are our muscles on the outside of our tummies here, are pulling and straining to hold the weight of this torso. And so we're just acquainting ourselves with those, finding our breath, remembering to breathe, Easy on the shoulders, easy on the neck. Nice. So let's just come back here to the center. So good. Okay, so we're going to take ourselves from our seated posture and we're going to turn into yoga table. So a yoga table is where we kind of draw our knees together and we come to hands and knees here on our mat. So it's on all fours together, okay? Yoga table is flexible. It can move, it can extend, and it can contract backwards into other postures. So let's just play with that movement right now, getting into a little flow back and forth. So let's inhale our bodies up to the center and exhale as we press the belly down, pelvis above the mat, and kind of fully extend this. This is a high cobra. So then let's inhale table back to the center and then exhale, pressing our bottom and our hips backwards into our heels. Arms are extended up the ground. This is our child's pose. Gazing forward between these hands, spreading fingers wide. Sending arms up the mat, creating length and noticing the expansion here in the area of our shoulder blades. When you're ready, table, we inhale up to the top, nice big breath. Exhaling when you're ready, sending pelvis towards the floor, releasing the legs, coming up to our high cobra. Inhaling table once more, exhaling back into child's pose. Settling into child's pose here for a moment. Perhaps you even wiggle your hips gently from side to side. You get to choose how wide or how close you would like your knees. Some of us feel a little more comfortable being closed-kneed on the inside, absolutely fine. And some of us who want to get into the lower back a little bit more or more of a hip opener, we'll just spread our knees maybe to the edge of the mat or wherever you'd like to go and come down even farther into our child's pose. Wherever you choose to go, just feel comfortable settling in. I'll go ahead and keep an eye on you. And as you are settling into that child's pose down there, we notice things that are of comfort first. So maybe we create a little modification or a move in our body to get into just something where we just kind of feel it and it feels good for us. And we notice that, and that's a good thing. We have found something perhaps that works for us. If there is something in your child's pose that isn't feeling good, we always have the choice to be safe, to be healthy, to make a choice or a switch. And so we make a modification or an adjustment. That is a choice. And then we come back down into it and we see how we feel at that point. Finding our breath in our child's pose, allowing shoulders, elbows to relax into that mat. If it is available, you could even think about rolling your forehead back and forth. Head just kind of rolls from side to side. There might even be a little bit of a head massage that you find here in your child's pose. You might be suffering from allergy issues right now, like I am. If you are, welcome. We'll do some allergy release at the end of our practice today. Placing those hands back up the mat, gazing towards our hands. Our practice shows us that if we can set our focus on the thing that is ahead, that is the place where we go. Yeah? So we don't always react. We can make a choice. We can say, I want to go there. I want to be in that space. And so we're going to press up to our table again. I am going there. And then we're going to go to that high cobra again. So I just press forward into high cobra. Our pelvis comes down towards the mat. And here we are. High cobra is a challenge as well. So I press out of my hands, lifting up and out of the chest area. If this is too much on your lower back, feel free to bend knees and draw yourself back a little bit because it's a lot. As we are here in our high cobra, we can release our feet. And then this one sometimes takes some adjustment as well. So I'm going to rock from side to side and draw my knees a tiny bit wider because that feels like a better support for me. As I press out of my elbows and shoulders, this turns on our chest muscles. These are our pectoralis muscles connected to our shoulders, our biceps. And so we create some strength and some energy here. We're holding a lot in our triceps here too. Then we find our breath. When we work hard, we forget to breathe too. So here is us learning to breathe while we do something that might be a little bit of a strain for us. Whenever you feel like you need to come out of this, feel free to draw back into your table. From high cobra, drawing ourselves back to table and back to our last child's pose. So we find the exhale, we come into our child's pose. This time, releasing right arm back behind me somewhere. If you can see, I'm kind of bending mine and placing it on my back. This becomes a chest opener, shoulder opener. Feel free to release your head down to the mat and find some breath. Is it at this point that we start to notice the work we're doing? Maybe parts of our body are starting to talk to us. Things we haven't worked in a while, maybe things we haven't worked in this way. All good things. We just check in. Releasing this right arm up the mat, and then this time pulling that left arm back behind you. Head can come to the mat if you would like. If you notice that you need to make an adjustment with your knees or your hips, feel free. Sometimes my folks who have a lot of musculature in the back of their legs, you'll see them and they'll kind of come up a little bit in their child's poses here. And that's absolutely fine. You can see my feet are curled behind me and they're up here a little bit. If that might be you, just a little caution to the neck, making sure that the entirety or the majority of our weight is kind of back here in our hips rather than in our head and neck area, so we don't strain or hurt anything. Finding our intentional cycle of breath. Checking in and noticing. Releasing this top arm back down the mat to find our child's pose once more. And from child's pose, we're going to drop our hands and elbows down to the ground if we haven't already. And we're going to just come up, and it looks like a table, except now we're on our forearms. So it's a table on our forearms this time. These are our Sphinx arms in yoga practice. And so here we are. Sphinx arms are interesting because we can do all kinds of things from here. We can create some balance work. And so let's try this. If we look underneath us, let's take a look underneath us at our knees. Then can we shift the weight of our hips and bottom to the left side? Pulling in our bellies and making them strong, can we extend right leg down the mat? So your foot is going to touch the end of the mat or back behind you. I'm going to ooch up a little bit. Okay. Then we're going to notice the disbursement of our weight. And if we were asked to find some balance over this left knee, maybe we would move our hands to the side a little. Maybe we would draw the elbows into maybe like a triangle position in front of that left knee. And an invitation to us to create some balance, which means a little bit of work for us, is to start to maybe explore lifting this back foot. So it's up to you how much you would like to explore. Some folks want to even just have a toe back here. Some folks like to start to lift a little more. This is you deciding what is comfortable, what is not comfortable. Wherever you are in this balance posture, I'm going to ask us to consider what our glutes are doing right now. I feel that the left side is working harder than the right. And so I'm going to use my thinking cap, and I'm going to draw my attention to what's going on my backside. And I'm going to squeeze both glutes and try to do them kind of equally, drawing some of the work that the whole left side is doing into the center and even into the right a little bit. If I turn on my right leg, so maybe my hamstrings, if I squeeze my quads, I start to disperse the energy and I start to spread the energy, the work that I'm doing between the sides of my body. And then I start to notice that I'm not breathing. So we find breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you remain here, a challenge might be to pull your belly button in, making your tummy strong as if you were doing a plank in this posture. If you fatigue or you don't want to do this posture anymore, feel free to come to table, find a child's pose. There's always something else you can do. For the rest of us, maybe we even explore pulling this heel back towards our bottom with leg elevated. What is this? We're getting into the hamstring a little bit. When people start to fatigue, like me, I'll start to draw that knee down and I'll get tired. And that's okay. We just notice. If we are still up high, we just urge ourselves to send that knee back up, and perhaps we might notice how much work that is for the glute up top. To come out of this, we just extend that leg back down to the mat, drawing our knee back to parallel with our left. And if you would like to come back child's pose, or if your arms are tired, feel free to draw them back both behind to come to rest on the mat for, this is our, I think it's locust. My brain just shut off. I can't remember. Anyway, so we draw this back here. Hands are released to the mat. Shoulders are easy, and feel free to take a break. As you are here in this posture, I invite you to just notice what's been happening. Perhaps our temperature has increased. Perhaps some changes have happened. And it's all a beautiful conversation. When we do a pose in yoga, a posture that kind of toys with our sense of stability, sometimes there are voices and chatter that come into our minds. And the interesting thing that we can notice as we're kind of just pausing here is that those voices are the voices that we use also in our daily walk around, go to work, take care of things life. So that impatience might come out, criticism might come out. What other fun stuff is there? That's good enough. And the interesting practice of yoga is inviting us to notice those voices that arise, that we say and we use with ourselves as we feel vulnerable. And as we move through our weeks, we can begin to move beyond just noticing those things, but speaking back to them in a good way, creating a different narrative. I am strong. I am vulnerable. I can make a choice. I don't have to stay in this pattern. And that's what the practice of moving through our postures is learning a new pattern of choosing healthy things for ourselves to see that we can do it, right? The things that are less risky, yeah? Okay, so coming up onto those forearms again, and if you're too tired and you don't want to do this, feel free to take a nap. Yoga is also for people who like to nap. I find the balance over towards the right side this time. Extending left leg, and my toe is on the floor. There we go, okay? All right, so I'm pressing out of my shoulders, and I'm gonna choose whether I'd like to start lifting this leg, creating a balance, or if I'd like to just keep my toe on the ground and just exploring the work that's already happening down there. So wherever you choose in this posture, come to the place where you want to be for that time and find your breath. in through the nose and out through the mouth. Maybe we notice that we're sagging on the right side like Lee. And so if you're sagging like Lee, I'm gonna kind of turn on my glute. This elevates my hips a little bit. We sag when we're tired. It just happens. And then I notice that maybe I'm dipping into my chest. That means I'm not using my chest. So I turn my chest on, squeezing my muscles here, pressing through the forearms and elbows. Choosing where I'd like to go from here. Maybe we even pull that heel back. And then we go through our new mental checklist again. Am I breathing? Do I have a firm foundation underneath me? Am I forgetting to use my tummy? Maybe. Am I sagging in my shoulders? Maybe. Pausing here for just another round of breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And extending that top leg and releasing the leg back down to the ground. And we come to our knees once more. Reestablishing my center, pressing up to our yoga table. Nice job. All right, last little challenge for the day. Walking out to plank. So a full plank in yoga has both of our feet back behind us and we're pressing into our heels. We could also do a single knee plank that gives us plenty of challenge as well. So it's up to you. So whether your plank has one knee down or both legs out, we want to try to draw the work through our bellies rather than in the crease in our hands, if that makes sense. So I'm going to create a little tiny round through my shoulder area, and I'm going to actually press the weight of my body back into that back heel or back both heels. That's how I get the energy to meet in the center, drawing the mass of my body back towards the middle. If the crease of your hand, meaning this fold in your hands on the mat, starts to hurt, feel free to come down onto your forearm. That's kind of why we practiced it earlier. Or increase the distance between the feet and the hands, walking the hands forward slightly. And then we just notice any changes that might happen there. Are we breathing? If you're shaking, that means you're doing it right. All right, remaining here for one more intentional cycle of breath. So in through the nose and out through the mouth, exhaling long and slow. And when you're ready, dropping your knees. And you did it. And we are just going to set ourselves to the side and find our bottoms. Okay? Nice job, everybody. Pretty good little intro to what we're doing today. Okay, so I'm going to swing my legs forward up the mat or up your space a little bit. Now, there can be a bend in your knees here. For most folks, these hamstrings, it's rough. So if you have a bend in your knees, that's just fine. The goal here, and I'll turn a little more so you can see me. The goal is we're going to try to encourage a flat back behind us. So when we let go of our tummies and we're too tired, when Lee's too tired, Lee starts to do this. At work, when I'm eating my dinner, whatever. So the goal as part of our practice in the next couple of weeks is to kind of connect with that spine, see what we're doing. Notice that we sit like a hunch all the time, yeah? So how do we do this? So if the straight leg is too much for you, feel free to give yourself a little bend. And then we're going to take a nice deep breath, inhaling those shoulders up and back down behind. So it looks a little dramatic. Got the chest and the belly kind of trying to press forward a little bit, but we're trying to be really intentional here. You're going to see me start to do this. And we do this a little bit in our classes, so I'm just telling you. So I'm going to send my hands forward, and this is just creating more work for myself. So I'm going to hold my arms forward here, and all I'm doing is trying to sit up. For a lot of us, the majority of our weight is here in this torso area. So we're just holding this torso up, elevated. If you get tired, hands can come down. It is enough work just holding ourselves up here. So we've got this flat back. Now we're going to turn our attention to that lower belly. This is the part of our bodies that says, you don't need me. We can just use the lower back. Lower back's got it. It's used to doing this my whole life. And so what we have to tell ourselves is, okay, this is actually work for the lower belly. So I'm going to draw myself up a little bit more to encourage this area underneath the belly button. Shoulders are easy, neck is easy. I'm just going to try to continue to generate heat and to hold myself upright here. So we're using this entire belt of musculature, not just our back, to hold ourselves up. We could even think about our chest in this posture, perhaps this breastbone. We're just kind of sending it forward a little bit, saying, you know what, maybe just a little bit of the space in here or the shoulders can help me maintain this upright position. Our practice introduces us to old patterns of behavior and noticing, why do I do that? I didn't even know that I did that. And finding new patterns. All right, because I know that this is a lot. Let's go ahead, release that onto the side, and we're gonna take this left leg up and we're gonna fold it somehow on top of the right leg. I call this a 4, but it can be whatever you wanna call it. And so then we're gonna press our chest and our shoulders just slightly forward again, turn on that lower belly, and my hands are gonna come out to the side with some fingertips on either side here, okay? And then instead of rounding and doing this, because we're encouraging this belly to start participating in this process, we're gonna just send belly forward again and start noticing what else is starting to attach or talk to us or start to turn on. So find some breath. Send torso as far forward with a flat back as your body will allow. With our belly still working, as if we had a plank going on, finger walking these fingers forward. I only have like a 1/4 inch. I don't have very much movement here at all. Some of you who are real bendy can come all the way down with a flat back. I have hamstrings that are resistant and hips that generally don't want to fold. And so for me, this is a lot, but for you, this might be easy. Find your spot. We take ourselves to the edge. The edge is the place where we decide, that's good for me. That is my place today. We find that edge. We decide if we want to work on it, if we want to come out of it a little bit. What is healthiest for me right now? Shoulders relaxed. Belly is still engaged. Am I breathing? Finding an exhale, sighing into that place where the work is happening. We can even cultivate a new voice here. Maybe the new voice says, "You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job." And we just kind of acknowledge that. Folding seems like nothing, like a little thing, a meaningless thing. Gazing forward, pulling our bellies in, using our tummy and pulling back, walking these hands back to the top and unhooking your 4, sending that leg forward. And if you'd like a little, whatever this is, bouncing your legs up and down, go for it. All right. Maybe some muscles are starting to fatigue. Maybe some muscles are saying, oh, that feels great. I love it. I need more. Wherever you are welcome. I'm going to take my right leg this time and create a 4 by lifting the right leg up and just placing it somewhere safely on top of my extended leg. Just not on the kneecap. Careful with your kneecap. Okay, here we are. So we roll those shoulders back and down. Belly is turned on. Heat is going. Check. And then I'm going to place my fingertips to the mat somewhere kind of on the sides of us. And I'm just going to press chest forward, try to maintain flat back as much as I can. And I'm just going to lean forward to the place where I can't do flat back anymore. So mine's here because I feel like I'm going to start to do this in a moment. So I'm just going to hang out here, relax the shoulders, find that breath. In through your nose and out through your mouth. If you're feeling nothing, if this isn't working for you, create an adjustment with your legs. Perhaps you draw it out more. Perhaps you cross it over more. Just creating something that gives you some effort here. If this is killing you, come on out of it. What a journey. And then we decide where that edge is. So the yoga edge, just like life, yoga is life, right? How far do I want to go? Is this safe? Do I want to work or do I want to relax? Let me make that choice. So again, my body is telling me that it needs just a little more in this hamstring. And so I'm just trying to ask a little more. I try to relax this upper half, shoulders, neck, head, and I breathe. Sending that breath away. Gazing forward, pulling in my belly, drawing ourselves back up to upright here. Find your breath and go ahead and release that leg. Very nice. Okay, just because we've kind of been on our bottom for a minute, let's go ahead and give ourselves an upward facing table. So last time we did a table, we're kind of on hands and knees in front of us. An upward facing table is sort of the opposite. But what we're doing is we have our feet about hip width apart in front of us, and we're going to just place our hands back behind. It's up to you how you want the rotation of your hand to be. So feel free to have it facing away and then adjust as needed. So an upward facing table asks us to kind of roll chest open like we've been doing. It's all connected. Rolling the chest open, shoulder blades might come a little closer together behind. We're going to squeeze our bellies, and then we're going to squeeze our bottoms and start to lift out of our lap. So essentially, turning on my legs, and I'm going to start to lift. Now, just depending on our comfort level, we might need to walk our feet out or in order to find our upward facing table. So this is a lot. Sometimes our tables look like here. That's fine. So find your upward facing table. Definitely a lot of glutes. What else are you feeling? Can you draw on your belly as you're here? We tell ourselves too to press out of the shoulders, pressing belly up, chest up. It's a lot. If our heads and necks get tired, you'll see folks drop their heads back gently, and that is all okay too. Finding some breath. Am I breathing? And then how can I make this breath more significant? Drawing more oxygen into my bloodstream. It's what we need. If you get tired, feel free to come back down seated. I'm going to remain here for another cycle of breath. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And then dropping the bottom down to the ground. And we're just going to come to our comfortable seated posture at the end. So we settle onto our mats here. And we just find a balance between our sides. Feel free to grab some water if you need it. We kind of just circle back up together. And we're just going to stretch a little bit of it out. So we have a puppy dog paw here. If you'd like to stretch out your forearm muscles, I invite you to flip your paw over so that we're kind of, I can almost touch your hand, but I won't touch your hand. COVID. So I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to make this arm kind of strong, and I'm going to gently pull back on my fingers. This gets through all that ligature tendons that we were just kind of straining and stretching in our practice. All right, so let your shoulders go. Try to let go of that stress there and gently draw that hand back towards your body. You decide here how much you want to kind of pull on that. Find your breath. Nice. Okay, we're just going to flip this paw over. So I take my puppy paw and I'm going to put it down like this. Treat, please. And I'm going to wrap gently around. Here we go. Maybe you can see that a little better. And I'm just going to gently pull my hand in. So I'm just gently flexing my hand in. And then I'm noticing, can you see my shoulder on this left side? I'm kind of doing this. Draw that shoulder down, Lee. We have to help each other out through this stuff. Lee's finding her breath. Very good. And then I'm just dropping that arm. Maybe a shoulder roll right there might feel good for you. Our practice teaches us whatever we do on one side, we do it on the other side. So I get my arm out this time. I'm going to flip my hand open. Hello. And then I'm going to take it with my left. And I have a straight arm here so you can see, and I'm drawing it back towards my body. Releasing my shoulders so that they're not creeping into my ears. Creating some space. Finding my breath. Just noticing. What am I feeling in this? Do I need to change my rotation? And when you're ready, flipping our paw over here. And then gently drawing this hand in a little. I am now rolling the shoulder down. I remembered. Find your breath. Releasing both hands down to the side. Little shoulder roll on the right, if that would feel good for you. Adding a twist to the practice always feels good on our spine. Kind of releasing all those tendons and fascia up and down the spine from holding ourselves up. And so if you'd like to join me for a spinal twist, let's start by switching our legs again. So we're just going to put the other one in front and then readjust our seat. And we're going to take our arms out into a T, shoulders away from our ears. So we're out here in a T. We're going to take a nice deep inhale here in the center. Okay, so center, I'm going to inhale. Exhaling this T over towards the left. And hold there just for a moment, okay? So my gaze goes over back towards that back hand somehow. Whatever your rotation of your neck is, just fine. And then if you'd like to drop your arms here to the ground, we try to find our gaze over towards the left, and we decide with our fingers and with our bodies how much twist we would like to use with this floor. Okay, so like how much do we have? How much torsion would I like to give myself here? Easy on the body, but we do indeed choose. Okay. And to come out of this, we go intentionally, we go slowly. So head is still back behind me. I start to draw arms back to parallel front to back. This is where we came in. When my inhale is ready, I'm going to inhale T nice and slowly back to the center so I can see you. Inhaling. And with my exhale, just taking our T over to the right. There we go. I'm still kind of front to back here. And my gaze is tracking over towards the right side. Shoulders are coming away from my ears, creating space. And then when you're ready, dropping hands to the ground And then we decide how much twist we want or need here. So gaze is headed towards the side or the back. We notice our breath. Just notice what feels good here. And to come out of this, we just make our belly strong once more, raising those arms to that front to back parallel T. And when you're ready to inhale, we're going to inhale here to the center and exhale, releasing our arms down in front of us so that we can get just that final little stretch on the back side. When you're ready, go ahead and walk your hands forward all the way down as far as you would like to go. So we're going to find a big stretch there. If you need to put your forearms down, we're going to start feeling what's going on back there, okay? So gently bring yourself down. You can do like a full child's pose if you'd like to. You can bend your elbows and rest there. And we start breathing into the hip and the back side. That might be saying something here. Breathing into that hip. Pulling in our belly slightly, drawing our hands back just a little bit for leverage, and pressing ourselves up as we walk back up to the top. Switching our legs. We get both hips, both sides. And you know what you're doing. When you're ready, just walking ourselves down, noticing the hip on this side as we come down. Is it the same? Is it different? Finding a breath. Turning on our bellies, gently lifting the head and drawing the arms back as we press ourselves all the way back up here to the top. To end the postures part of our practice, we can kind of just come back up to the top and rolling the shoulders back and down. If a little bit of a head roll would feel good for you, careful with anything that you might have going on in your neck. Feel free to drop chin to the chest, relax the shoulders, drawing the belly in for some support here. Gently rolling head to the side, just draw it over to the right maybe, and just pause there and notice kind of what we're feeling. If we find strain or pressure, we have breath. We inhale and create a sigh, let it go. Releasing back down to the center, pausing for a moment. And then when you're ready, just rolling up towards the other side. Oh, just noticing what's there. Our belly is holding us upright. Finding some breath to breathe here into this extended neck here. Rolling head back down to the center. And if you like, you can even take face all the way up to sky, noticing what happens here. Trying to draw the chest down, trying to draw the shoulders down. And releasing back to the center when you're ready. As we end our practice today, we do this in a way that's kind of similar every time, and I hope you find comfort in it as we do it from time to time. So we extend our arms, palms up. We have this big, huge space. And we're going to inhale our arms all the way up to the sky, and above my head, I'm going to find hands in prayer. I'm going to inhale my arms all the way up to find hands in prayer at the top. And with my exhalation, I'm going to close my eyes, if that feels good for you, and draw these prayer hands to come to rest in front of my chest. And as we end our practice here, we just take a moment of rest. We just try to encourage those shoulders to go easy. We kind of tell our body that it's done a good job and it can start to relax now. And we just pause for a moment and notice how we feel. As we end our practice together today, we have been guided by our intuition. Our intuition is that guiding principle, that nudging voice, that spirit that's within us that says, I am here, I am noticing, I am feeling, and I am responding. Years of practice have us ignoring that intuition. And as kids and as youngsters and as grown-ups, we learn to return to that voice. So as you are on your journey to returning to your intuition, I wish you joy, I wish you hope, and I wish you smiles and and empathy from me, because I'm on this with you. So until we meet again, I'm wishing you peace and joy on your journey. Wishing you a beautiful rest of your week, reminding us that we can always come back to this breath, this quiet, or a stretch when we are feeling stressed, when we are feeling overwhelmed, or when we simply want to put ourselves to bed after a long day. Until I see you again, namaste and peace be with you, everyone. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I'm glad you're here, and we'll see you again soon.